MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, getting you set here on National Signing Day with all the reports that we can possibly bring you. We have talked to SC already. We've got a number of team reports lined up, including the Oklahoma Sooners with Jason Ray from Last Word on College Football. Jason, how you doing today?
Doing good. It's always a hot and heavy, hectic day on National Signing Day here, but it's been a good day.
Absolutely, it is, and especially, there comes that exciting news that possibly you were able to grab somebody else's commit and flip them, but that obviously works both ways. And when a program invests the time and the energy into building a relationship for a few years and then possibly gets to a point on National Signing Day when that player moves on to somebody else, that certainly is disappointing news, and that might be the case.
Yeah, Mark, I think it kind of started happening yesterday. There was some wind of Jase McClellan, who had been, to your point, had been a commit of Oklahoma, a pretty verbal commitment to Oklahoma for about almost 2.5 years. We talked about this earlier last week when we were kind of previewing the class, but at that point, it was kind of up in the air. Most folks indicated that it looked like Bama was trying to get in the door, but he was still pretty solid at Oklahoma. So I think over the last probably 48 hours, I think Saban and company has really sold McClellan on the brand, the Alabama brand. Not that the Oklahoma brand is not there and prominent, but the Bama brand is certainly enticing the young kids. I mean, at that age, and I think another thing that may have played into this potential flip was the fact that Oklahoma has a pretty crowded running back room with, they have Kennedy Brooks, who will be returning. He's just a sophomore. They'll have Trey Sermon, who will be back after that ACL injury, and then they have certainly Ramondre Stevenson, who is a junior college transfer, who is a junior right now, and then they have TJ Pledger, who has played a little bit. They have a couple of freshmen that they like as well. So they have about 5 or 6 guys there that Oklahoma really likes. So I think I think it's a combination of things. I think he might have been a little bit nervous by the depth at the running back position, and then to that other extent had been the brand of Alabama played a role a little bit. One of the things that think about kind of from a recruiting standpoint is it's not really over till it's over. Oklahoma was on the positive end of this with Jaden Hazelwood last year, was a solid Georgia commit almost up until the second the National Signing Day, and then Oklahoma was able to get in there and flip him at the last minute. So as we talked off air, it looks like he's probably going to sign around the 4:30 p.m., 5:30 p.m. time frame, and we'll see for sure at that point. But from we look at kind of the 247, as them and Rivals right there are kind of the prominent recruiting services now, and he's about 90%, 90 from a prediction standpoint of going to Alabama. So that one really hurts. I think, given the fact that the kid has been committed, hasn't wavered for 2.5 years, has been here over the last week, Bama has got to that position with him, I think, is a little disappointing. But the rest of the class is still pretty solid and is what most people expected coming into National Signing Day today.
So Jase McClellan out of Aledo, Texas, 8th-rated running back in the nation, according to the 247 Sports Composite, and number 6-rated player in Texas. Got Jason Ray on the line from Last Word on College Football. Encourage you to stop on by over there to get all their National Signing Day coverage, including Oklahoma. Sooners, of course, preparing for LSU. And you're expecting at some point, Jason, I believe, to hear some more news about the number 1 JUCO safety in the nation.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. I think he's probably in a position that he's going to commit, or at least announce his commitment at some point today. It's a little foggy in terms of like when that might happen. But he has announced a couple of days ago that he will be committing and signing today. Expect that a little bit later this afternoon. It looks like it's kind of a bedlam battle between him, for him right now, between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. He took an official visit last week to Oklahoma State and Stillwater. Most people feel pretty solid about his pledge to Oklahoma. He's been very pro Oklahoma, even today, in kind of on Twitter and retweeting a lot of Oklahoma commitments and things like that. So if Oklahoma is able to get him, I think that will be maybe one of the biggest or most impressive JUCO classes that Oklahoma has had in quite some time. They've got the number one and the number two defensive tackles in Josh Ellison and Perrion Winfrey that have committed today. And then certainly Justin Harrington he's ranked as a number one safety, and I believe he's the 12th ranked commitment overall in the junior college ranks. So that would be good, certainly as a kind of a capper to this early signing period. And I know that Oklahoma's still trying to get in on a couple of wide receivers, maybe a running back for the later signing period. I think most are expecting CeeDee Lamb to declare for the draft after the end of this year. There's news of Michael Jones had entered the transfer portal this morning, I believe. So it really leaves them with about 5 scholarship wide receivers at the position. They did sign Marvin Mims, which I think he's going to be a really good player for them. He's a little bit under the radar. If you can be under the radar for a 4-star guy, he just earlier this month he broke the single season receiving record for the state of Texas, which is a phenomenal feat given the talent that comes out of that state. So I would say Oklahoma's probably, I haven't looked at the rankings in the last hour or so, but I think they're hovering around the 9-10 range currently. So I think given the fact that they expected these numbers to be a little bit light compared on how many kids they took in the 2019 class, all things considered, I think this will round out to be a pretty good class for them.
So coming into the day, Oklahoma still ranked 6th in the nation, number 2 in the Big 12, coming off a season in 2019 in which they ranked number 2 in the Big 12 to Texas and number 10 in the nation. And as you mentioned, with the Jase McClellan potential flip and a few other breaking flips involving other teams, not necessarily in Oklahoma, but a domino effect in regards to the rankings possibly dropping a bit in the top 10 here. Jason Ray on the line. Last word on college football. Again, we encourage you to head on over there and check out Jason's work right there. Jason, we appreciate you stopping by.
All right. Thanks for having me on, Mark.